Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. You're probably wondering why I gathered you here today. We're going to dive into Sipurey Maasios, into the continuation of the Ben HaMelech Ben HaShifcha Neschalfo. We learned the intro. The real son of the king, the real son of the slave were exchanged. Each one grew in the other's environment, totally convinced that this is who they really are. That obviously, that secret leaked out. It led to all kinds of suspicions that drove the real prince away from his homeland. And sulking, he went out and spent his time assuaging his pain through various addictions. Extremely angry at everything in the world and feeling wronged and slighted. And then we say at a certain point, he stops and he says, like, what am I achieving with this? I mean, what? I'm only hurting myself, basically. Okay, so this is what happened to me. That's my life, So what's the and then Mishamayim, they let him know that what he's supposed to do, he's supposed to get a job. He's supposed to get a yoke. And the yoke gets him, he becomes a worker for somebody. He has practically no choice in the matter of what kind of job he's going to take. Because in his dream, he's told, just take the first job you're offered. And this is the first inkling that we get. First remez that we get that when it comes to doing what's best for you, many times your mind, your present state of mind, the way that you understand reality is actually a hindrance. It's not working for you, it's working against you. And so he follows, he does what he's told to do. He's told to shepherd animals. He's supposed to work for a living. And his boss is extremely brutal with him. He's not giving any choices, he's not getting any preferential treatment. He has some friends around. By a certain point in time, two of the animals enter a forest, and his boss screams at him to go and bring him back. At this point, the story takes a very dramatic break. He's chasing the animals, and he gets deeper into the forest, and until he cannot see his friends anymore. And being that he is so afraid of his boss, Rabbeinu mentions specifically that this is a fantasy. That's a psychological disorder. The guy is chicken. The guy is a scaredy cat. He's imagining things. He has unfounded, illogical fears. And because of that, he says, if I go back to my boss, he's going to kill me. If I continue in the forest, the animals are going to kill me. And he makes a cardinal decision to continue to chase the animals. If it was a normal human being, he would understand, just go back. Tell your boss, to deduct the price of the animals from your pay or whatever. But he can't. His mind is not where it's at. He has a character defect. He has a mental defect. And this is extremely important. We spoke about it and we said that if he didn't have that kind of paranoia, of these unfounded fears, this panic, there would be no choice for him. Obviously, he has to go back. I mean, you can negotiate with people. You can even run around and hide behind the other shepherds until your boss comes down or something. But because he is damaged goods, because he's yellow, because he's chicken, because he's paranoid, continuing and going back gain the same chances of survival. It's doomed if I do, doomed if I don't. And he is making the most important decision of his life. What his decision is, he's continuing to chase the animals. And we explained that this decision is so correct because to continue to chase the animals means, it doesn't make a difference. If you go back, you die, you continue, you die. All right, so let's take that off the table. But if you continue to chase the animals, you're doing what you need to be doing. You're doing your job. You may succeed, you may not, but you're doing what you're told. You're doing your duty. Going back would be to come back with an excuse. Man, you don't know. This is the forest, man. There are like wolves there or bears and Lord knows who knows what is there. You don't know what happened to me, and I hurt my foot. Forget about it. I stepped on a stone and I twisted my ankle or I don't know what. I couldn't do it, man. Sad, I'm so tired. Going back would be to dump off what's incumbent upon me with an excuse. Going on means I take my job, my mission. I may fail, I don't know. But I'm going on with it. And we said that we learned two very, very important things here. One of them is that in order to succeed and in order to get ahead, you have to be willing to fail. The main reason why people come back with excuses is because they're afraid of failure. Nothing guarantees him success. In fact, he might be eaten alive by animals. But that's my job, and I'm going ahead and I'm locked in on it. That's the first secret of success in anything. how much more so spiritually? The second thing, as we kept on going, he's going after the animals. The night falls. He goes up in a tree. We said he rests on the schus of the Torah, so the tzaddik, which is represented by a tree. Because when you're really scared, this is when you call Hashem. In the hospitals, everybody is saying Tehillim. Where were you until now? Why didn't you say Tehillim before you needed it? Yeah, well, the Gemara says it's not a derogatory thing to say about people. He says a bent wall reminds a person of his creator. It's a normal human reaction. Because when life goes on, as life goes on, we don't see what a quivering bundle of needs we really are. From the atomic level to the molecular level to the cell level to the, to every single part of our body, of our psyche, and whatever it is. So he goes on, and at night, he rests on a tree, he rests on the tzaddik, he rests on the Torah. Then comes daylight. All right, things go to being back to the way they were. I had a friend who used to smoke and drink a lot. Smoke, he smoked a lot, but drinking is like he wasn't an alcoholic, but just a person who used to drink, it's like he had a heart attack, it's like so he didn't drink for a while. And after a while, I saw him drinking, so I asked him, what made you start drinking again? So being that this person is an elachid, he really is, and very honest, he said, I felt better. Daylight. You're running after the animals again. Then comes night again. All the frightening things, health problems, children problems, personality problems, midas problems, whatever it is. He goes up in a tree, and here he meets another person. First he's scared, and then he's happy. That person ends up, as we find out later, this is the true son of the slave. This is when they meet. And they speak to one another and decided that they're creating a bond between them. That even when they'll come back to, to inhabited areas, they'll come back to civilization, they'll still remain together. Then, of course, day comes, and this one is chasing his animals. This one goes chasing his horse, and they separate. They separate from one another. And at this point in time, let me just share the screen with you. At this point in time, when they separated from one another, he finds a sack with bread, which is very important in the wilderness, and he goes after the animals. And then he meets a person and becomes very scared, but it was Shtickl Nacham. I found a person here. And that person asks him, how did you come here? He doesn't answer. He says, he asks that person, how did you come here? And that person tells him, me and my fathers and forefathers all grew up here. But you, how did you come here? No person has ever come here from civilization. How'd you get here? And he becomes very scared because he understands that this is not a human being at all. Since he's saying that he and his ancestors all grew up here, and no human being from the Yishuv never comes here. He understood is not a person. And even though he wasn't a person, still he wasn't hostile or anything. He didn't do anything bad to him. And that man of the forest told this prince, "What are you doing here?" So he said he's chasing after the animals, and that person told him, "Stop chasing your Averis. These are not behemoths at all. These are only your Averis that are leading you like this. Enough. You already got yours. You are already punished. Stop chasing them and come to that which is coming to you." Now the importance and the fact that they met together, that he met the true son of the slave on the tree becomes clear. We already said that the decision to chase the animals only quote unquote made sense if he is mentally, in Hebrew they call it dafuk, he's a little, he's a loose screw, he's paranoid. It's an unbelievable lesson, which is fortified when he meets the man of the forest. When he meets the man of the horse, the true son of the slave on the tree. And when they get down, they get separated. And then he meets the man of the forest. And not only that, he finds, he says, as he was walking, he found a sack with bread. This is very important in the wilderness. And he goes after the behemoths, and then he meets the man of the forest. Meeting the true son of the slave represents the same thing as his mental incapacity or mental feebleness, whichever you want to call it. The Nakuda is that every single thing about you, and this is a Nakuda that we repeated again, again, every single Nakuda about your life, your childhood, your experiences, the way your friends treated you, every single thing is not a coincidence. It's a precision prescription that your neshama needs in order to fulfill your role in this world. When he meets the man, the true son of the slave, he comes face to face with his story, as it were. You don't know what happened to me. You don't know how my parents behaved to me. You don't know this. You don't know that. You can't imagine. If you were in my shoes, man, you would take it 1,000 times harder, and so forth and so on. The first step in actually regaining your sovereignty, your first step in becoming a king over the dominion which is meant for you in your life, is you have to recognize all the factors that make you miserable and look them in the eye and realize you were not shortchanged. You weren't dealt a bad hand of cards. in a Texas-style poker game. You are given the exact tools that you need for your rectification. And in order for you to actually not act out of your story, not be the prisoner of your experiences in life, you have to be able to create a certain separation between yourself, who you are, and everything that's ever happened to you, including your character defects, including everything else. These are all tools that Hashem has put down for your good. In order to be able to use them, you have to be able to separate yourself from them. As it were, you are not your story. If you're a genius, this is not who you are. If you're a fool, this is not who you are. This is the tools that Hashem gave you in order to fulfill your role in this particular incarnation. The most stark example that we can see of this, and we can see that this kind of attitude brings a person to his dominion, to his kingdom, is Yosef HaTzadik. Just think about it. Yosef HaTzadik is being persecuted. He's being sold by his brothers. He's being brought to the house of a person who bought him for filthy reasons. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved him. And then Mrs. Potiphar gets up and makes his life hell. And what they do is they put him in jail and basically throw away the key. If anybody ever had reasons to say the heck with it, this is unfair, this is not coming to me, I can't believe this, forget about it, it's Yosef. The most normal thing that we would expect from him is, to be cooped up in his own cocoon. Just leave me alone, leave me out of it. I'm a victim. And he is. Oh, wow. How is he a victim of his brother, a victim of Potiphar and Potiphar's wife? And everything unfair possible happened to him. And what do we see? He sees the ministers of Paro that he was told to serve, and he asks them a question. The question is, why are you sad today? Why are you in a bad mood? And they say, we had dreams, blah, blah, blah. But just a second, think about it. If anybody ever had a reason and a justification of just shutting out the world because the world has never given him anything except anguish, and he still doesn't know whatever is going to happen to him, it's Yosef. But Yosef HaTzadik refuses to identify who he is from his circumstances. He's a free man. He has such freedom of das that he is able to think about the welfare of somebody else. These two ministers. Yes, and why are you sad? You asking why you sad? Man, you got shortchanged, the short stick in any way, shape, or form, and you care about how somebody else feels? That means a total separation between him and his story. With the total emunah that the story is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's going to lead to where HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to lead, and whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is good. And what's the result? He becomes a king. Literally becomes a king. So if you want to become a king, if I want to become a king, the thing that I need to do is I need to disengage. I need to look at my body. I have to look at my circumstances. I have to look at the source of my suffering. I have to look at what it is that has always made me feel unhappy about who I am and what my life are and where they led me, and say, okay, you go your way, I go mine. As it were, I'm not my story, or even to make it even more dramatic, I am not me. I'm independent. I'm independent of my experiences. I'm independent of my shortcomings. I'm independent of my IQ. I'm independent of whether things go or pleasantly or unpleasantly. If I have money, I don't have money. People do what I say, people don't do what I say. I'm totally independent from that. What happens is he's out of the rat race. He finds a sack of bread, because when you realize that everything in your life is basically a precise prescription that you need, you know that Hashem will give you everything you need to sustain yourself. It's only when you still refuse to accept your reality, you refuse to accept that your experience and your characters and whatever it is that characterizes you, whatever it is all tools in your hands. It's all the son of the slave. It's not the neshama, it's not the son of the king. Then you'll be worried about the bread, you'll be worried about parnas, you'll be worried about everything else. The minute that you achieve emunah, that your circumstances are exactly the tools of the care that the Kadosh Baruch Hu takes of you, you know that he will give you parnasa. And when you know he's going to give you parnasa, parnasa comes to you. To the point that the man of the forest tells him, stop running after this. Just stop running after this. Stop worrying. Stop trying to fiddle with this and fiddle with that and, find all kinds of finagling. And just leave it. Just leave it. This is just your Averis. This is just you're a prisoner of your experiences. You're a prisoner of the image that you have built up for yourself by interpreting, my parents looked at me, they didn't look at me, they were nice to me, they weren't nice to me, my friends were nice to me, they're not nice to me, whatever it is. And look, I'm not saying that this is an easy thing. But this is what it is. The only way that you can get to it is by climbing on the tree, is by climbing on the schus of the tzaddik, is by climbing the schus of the Torah. And then you meet the man of the forest. You meet the tzaddik. The tzaddik is already telling you flat out. He explains it to him. Your suffering from your experience is just punishment for the Averas. You got to forget it. Stop chasing it. Come to me, come with me, and you'll get to where you need to get. And then we see something very interesting. He says, when he was very scared of speaking to the man of first and ask him. This is when a person realizes that there is such a thing as a tzaddik. There is such a thing as an Elef Yid. He's just a human being, just like you and me. No, he's not. We spoke about it in Sichas Haran. The tzaddik is somebody else completely. He's afraid. Maybe he'll open up his mouth and he'll swallow him. Because he's not a person at all. It looks in the story as if this is another foible of his, another, imagination of his. Well, it's really not. A person needs to be extremely careful with Tamidei Chachamim, with Tzaddikim. We have this incredible opportunity. Besides being, of course, students of Rabbeinu, we have Rabbeinu's people around us. Wherever Blazer Cheshin, wherever Tzvi Cheshin, wherever Chaim Kramer, wherever Nosson Maimon, we have Reb Moshe Kramer, Reb Yakimir Shechter, wherever Reb Chaim Koenig, wherever Reb Shimon Teichner, Reb Shimon Shapira, wherever Reb Simcha Bar Lev. And we have, quote unquote, the small guys. You, me. The people that are running around in the shul. And it is so tempting to look at anybody who disagrees with me. And he's forget about it. I spoke to him and there's nothing. The minute he agrees with me, all right, let's say there is something to talk about. But if he disagrees with what I think is right, forget about it. It's not stam. Do you know how much avodas Hashem there is there? How many hours of learning? Kisvei Rabbeinu, how much Torah there is, how much avodas Hashem there is, how much Kedusha there is in someone like Yakimir Shechter. Like the people who sit next to you in shul. They're all connected to Rabbeinu. That does not make them right in every single thing they say. You have to be very clear about it. But the fact that they may be wrong, they don't have a totally clean Medama. Only Rabbeinu has that. Reb Nosson has that. That's it. The fact that they may be wrong and they have a wrong opinion, and they may come across as cantankerous, as negative, as pestering, as hard-headed, pig-headed, I don't know, whatever language you want to use. Even if they're downright wrong, they're wrong, okay, about any civil subject. It does not take away an iota from the fact that you're talking about El Chayidin. You should be very afraid to talk about them. You should be very afraid to talk about them because they are Rabbeinu's people. You should be afraid to talk about every Jew. How much more about every Jew that keeps Torah and mitzvahs? How much more so about every Jew that is wearing the Yiddish lavush, the Haredi lavush? Whether you do or don't. It's neither here nor there. And how careful you must be with the covered of the people of Rabbeinu. Whether you agree with them, you disagree with them, you have good midas or bad midas, or whatever you think that they do. Rabbeinu said some mefurish. The only way that you can get there, the only way that you can get to Seiras HaTorah, the only you can taste, Me'ein Olam Haba, the Seiras that will be revealed to us at Lavai, is when you lower yourself before people who are greater than you, before people who are in your own level, and before people who are smaller than you. And if you happen to be the smaller of them, or even less than you are. What does it mean to lower yourself before yourself? To think that you're less than you are. What does it mean? It means that you have to have total respect to who you are. You're an Oved Hashem. You're an Oved Hashem. What are you talking about? You're talking about this guy. Oh, now you're talking this guy. Oh, well, hey, of course. Me? What are you talking about? And when you treat yourself with the proper respect, you have the proper sense of priorities to become an Oved Hashem. Let's take a look at the story once again and see what goes on. He was afraid to ask the man of the forest because he understood it's not a person at all. While the way he sees his friend is chasing the horse. That's the true son of the slave. But when the minute he saw him, you should know this is not a person at all. Don't deal with him at all, because it's not a person at all. Rabbeinu says there's a Yetzer Hara for every single people, for the small people, to judge people that are bigger than them, and to say this one is nice and this one is. It says don't deal with him at all. Don't talk to him at all. The only thing you can see is just his body. His body may be pretty or not pretty. He may talk nicely or not. Just stay away. It's way beyond your pay grade. Just stay away. And while they're going, this depends on the horse. You see there's bread over his shoulder. He started begging my brothers, days I haven't eaten, give me bread. And this is a very curious passage. He starts begging some days, already a few days I didn't eat, give me bread. Before they were sitting on a tree, they were talking, they were schmoozing, they're making a bond between them and everything. Suddenly you find this guy starving. That's the first time this issue has ever come up. When somebody's starved, he can hardly move. This guy is chasing his horse. How can you chase a horse when you're starving, you haven't eaten in days? Give me bread. But the bread over here does not mean physical food. It means allow me to feel good. Allow me to entertain my foibles. I need a break. I need to see a movie. I can't, it's like pressure. Forget about it. I need to see a ball game. I'm just like, forget about it. It's just like I need a relief. Give me some satisfaction. Give me some excitement. Give me some. It's already a long time I'm living this boring life. I need it, man. I need it, man. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm like. And he answered, Kamba midbar en mel shum davar. Here in this desert, in this wilderness, cold life, I cannot spare time to read books that have unsneeze things in them. I don't have the time for that. I'm too busy living my life. The clock is ticking. There's an expiration date. My life comes first. I need the bread for me. Can't spend time to entertain you. And he started begging him and asking, I'll give you everything. That's silly. In the wilderness, when the time is calculated to the nanosecond, you don't have time for any of this. You can't afford to fool around. He asked me, what can you give me? What can you give me for sustenance in the wilderness? He answered him, I know, the person who asked for the bread, which is the person of the horse, answered the person of the behemoth, which is the true prince. I'll give you my all. I will sell myself to you for bread. Now he reflected, the true prince. To buy a person, it's worthwhile to give him bread. He bought it for eternal slave, and he swore all the swearing in the world he's going to be Eved Olam, even once they come to a place of habitation. He will give him bread, and they'll eat from the sack until the bread will be gone. Now, this is a fascinating little ditty over here. The minute before you said, what can you give me? I have a limited amount of time and resources. I cannot waste them on you. She says, I'll sell myself to you. And he says, you know something? All right, that's worth it. That's a good deal. What? Why is this a good deal? What will you do if you finish the bread and you die? So you had a slave. What's the big deal? No, the answer over here is you need to work with your circumstances. You need to work with who you think you are. You need to work with your self-image. You need to give it a break. It's a delicate balancing act. Kadosh Baruch Hu made you who you are. The Kadosh Baruch Hu sent you this body. He sent you this intellect. He sent you this childhood. He sent you this wife. He sent you these children. He sent you these urges and these capacities, whatever it is. If those capacities become subservient to your neshama, as we learn the Kuta Maran Torah Tes, this is Shleimus Lashon Kodesh. Then you're taking from the physical urges that Kadosh Baruch Hu has given you, from the circumstances that Kadosh Baruch Hu has given you to live your life in, and you complete your role in life. You notice the same thing with Yosef. Wherever he goes, he becomes the best. He serves his master. He was sold for a slave. He serves his master. It says his master sees that Hashem is with him. There says that he saw that Hashem is with him. There were miracles happening all the time. If Yosef had a cup of coffee and he was bringing it to his master, the master says, I want tea, it would turn into tea. Yosef was mumbling all the time. His master says, what is it? You're doing magic to me? He says, no. I'm davening that the Kadosh Baruch Hu will make me be a good servant to you. He's in jail. The master of the jail gives him dominion over the entire jail. Because Yosef is the master of his circumstances. The circumstances that he's in are subservient to his neshama. There's Eshes Potiphar, so you say no. They send you to jail, you go to jail. And in the jail, you become the boss. In the jail, you run the entire jail. You're working with what you have. And with this, you turn your physicality, you turn your story, you turn your experiences, you turn your defects, you turn your drawbacks into tools of Avodas Hashem. And only once that happens, as we'll see Mitzvah Hashem next week, you're really ready to get into the house of the tzaddik. Kadosh Baruch Hu B'ezrat Hashem should help us. We should all be zoicha to take a good look at ourselves, a different look, and like take the face off and look at it. That's me. Interesting. Regain your freedom. First of all, separate. And when you're separate, create a bond again, but this time, the tzaddik is above you. Elche people are above you. Even you are above you. Your body, your experiences, your history, your story, that's your slave. Take care of it. Take care of it. It's a whole chokhmah in on itself. This is where freedom lies. This is your way to becoming a king. Hashem should help us all. So be zeicha to do whatever it is that we need to do in this world. So I wish you all atzlacha b'chol ha'inyonim. B'ezrat Hashem, coming this Thursday, we will talk a little bit about the